Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Nouvelle Hungry Burger Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for post-Duelist Advance. With the latest Yu-Gi-Oh booster pack, we have new support for the Hungry Burger deck in the form of a new Pendulum monster, a new Ritual monster being Angry Burger, and then one additional continuous spell. And it's been a while since I fully updated the Ritual deck, which focuses on being able to summon out the many different Nouvelle Ritual monsters and then gain additional effects based on the monsters we use, with one of the bigger plays even being able to tribute our opponent's monsters to be able to sum out our Hungry Burger to the field. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Ritual monsters in the deck, we're running 2 copies of the new Angry Burger. This card's name is always treated as this card is always treated as Hungry Burger. You can ritual summon this card with a recipe card. Monsters your opponent controls that can attack must attack this card. And you can only use each of the following effects of Angry Burger once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand, add 1 Nouvelle monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, shuffle this card into the deck. In quick effect, you can tribute 1 attack position monster on either field, and if you do, special summon 1 Hungry Burger with 2,000 attack from your hand or deck. So this makes us need to run one of the original Hungry Burger, because then we have to have that one with the 2,000 attack to be able to summon off of our Angry Burger into the deck as well. Being able to use this card as the quick effect to tribute 1 attack vision monster on either field, meaning our opponent's monsters as well, and for it being a quick effect, we can use that opponent's monster to then summon out our Hungry Burger, as I mentioned before. For the other Nouvelle monsters, they all are based around the different stars of a restaurant. So we run the 1 copy of Barella Base de Nouvelle, the level 1 variant, being able to ritual summon this card with a recipe card, as all the other ones can be as well. Having search power with Barella Base de Nouvelle, Conferus de Nouvelle for our 2-star monster, being able to have a spell and trap destruction effect with this card, and then being able to have more special summon power with each one being able to go up and up into the different star ritual monsters by attributing them out onto the field. The third one being Poultice de Nouvelle, with this card when special summoned to be able to draw a card, or when an effect that targets a monster on the field, or when a monster's target for attack, tribute 1 Nouvelle monster and 1 attack to a monster on either field, and special summon 1 level 4 or lower. So then you'll use that tribute play with either side of the field for your cards to summon out the bigger Nouvelle monsters, with the next one being Foy Glacia de Nouvelle. Having, when it's ritual summon, this card, you can target up to 3 cards in a graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. Our 5-star being Malumunuer de Nouvelle, once again going up with 1 more additional star, which is unheard of in the restaurant scene, being our Balgrail de Nouvelle, the bigger boss monster as well, and the final monster to tribute summon out, and being able to special summon Hungry Burger off of this card's final tribute on top of the Angry Burger play that we can do as well with these monsters. For the new Pendulum monster, we're running 3 copies of Chef de Nouvelle. During your main phase, if this card is activated this turn, you can add 1 non-Pendulum Nouvelle card from your deck to your hand. If a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Chef de Nouvelle once per turn, and if this card on the field is tributed and added to the extra deck face up, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. You can activate the following effects of Chef de Nouvelle in the same chain. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 effect monster on the field, increase its level by up to 3, and once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can banish a recipe ritual spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and apply that effect. So gaining the ritual effect for Chef de Nouvelle while also being able to search out any of the 1-of counts definitely makes this a 3-of count in the deck, so we always have those readily searched options available to use with this Pendulum monster. The 3 copies of Poissonnière de Nouvelle. If you control a ritual monster, you can target 1 monster on the field, special summon this card, then change that monster's battle position. You can only use this effect of Poissonnière de Nouvelle once per turn, so you use this Pendulum card to then be able to switch your opponent's monsters to attack position if they're playing more on the defensive play, because you want them in attack position to be able to tribute with your own Nouvelle monsters to use for their card effects. And if this card's normal or special summon, you can activate 1 of these effects. You can add 1 level 1 ritual monster or 1 recipe card from your deck to your hand, or banish any number of recipe cards from your graveyard to special summon 1 Nouvelle ritual monster from your hand with a level equal to the number of banish. So either you can search out for the first starting ritual, being our Boule Brace de Nouvelle, to then start off the ritual chain of tributing them up into the bigger monsters, or go for the additional play of being able to tribute to then summon out that monster that we may already have in our hand. And then also the 3 copies of Diviner of Herald. If it's normal or special summon, you can send 1 fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. If you do, increase this card's level by that monster until the end of this turn. If this card's tribute, you can special summon a level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck. But the main play with this card is obviously to send our extra deck monsters to gain additional effects like Herald of the Arclight for more search power off of this card as well to grab our ritual cards we need. And then the remaining main deck monsters just being a small hand trap lineup of 2 Droll and Lockbird and 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, just so we have cards to react against our opponent with on their own turn to shut down any of their searches or setups that they may try to do. For the spells, we're running 3 copies of Conquer de Cuisine, Culinary Confrontation. You choose 1 Nouvelle Pendulum monster and 1 Patissier Pendulum monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck. Special summon both monsters, 1 to each field, and this turn you cannot use monster material for fusion, synchro, xyz, or link summon except for Nouvelle and Patissier monsters. And during the main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a face-up monster on the field. It gains 200 attack for each recipe card in their graveyards. So this can also help us since we have another search for our Nouvelle cards in the form of Chef de Nouvelle to grab as an additional target for Conquers de Cuisine, and then being able to give our opponent our Patissier Coverture to use as a pet monster for the tribute play of our opponent's monsters if they don't have one on the field for us to use. Also running for the additional count, the 1 copy of Recette de Viande meat recipe and the 1 Recette de Poisson fish recipe for additional ritual plays for both of these spells, being able to summon out any Nouvelle ritual and then use those additional monsters depending on the level of the monster, and then having the change defense option to attack position with meat recipe for that monster summon, or to add a ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except for this one off of fish recipe. We're also running 2 copies of Voici la Carte, or today's menu. Reveal 2 Nouvelle monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 for you to add to your hand, and then you shuffle the other ones into the deck. You can add 1 of these cards from your deck to your hand based on the monster added by this effect. If it's a Beast Warrior, you add Recette de Poisson, the fish recipe, or if it's a Warrior, Recette de Viande, meat recipe. So search power for those specific cards by revealing Nouvelle monsters with different names from your deck, then adding the specific one that you may need to your hand. 3 copies of Nouvelle's Restaurant at table, the field spell. When it's activated, you can add 1 recipe card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and once per turn, you can place 1 ritual monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck to draw 1 card, and once per turn during end phase, you could target 2 cards in your graveyard, including a recipe card, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and draw 1 card. So additional draw power, but also being able to add back cards like our level 1 Burla base de Nouvelle to then be able to potentially search off of Poissonnière de Nouvelle and then start that ritual chain off. Also, the new spell we run is the 1-of copy of Nouvelle Recipe Book, Recette de Nouvelle. While you control a Nouvelle monster card, all face-up monsters your opponent control are changed to attack position. Each time a monster is tributed by a ritual monster, your opponent pays 850 life points, making your opponent pay basically for the items they are eating at the restaurant, which I think is very funny. And once per turn, if you special summon a ritual monster except during the damage step, you can target 1 of them, add 1 recipe or Nouvelle card from your deck to your hand, accept a continuous spell, and increase that monster's level by 1, being able just to give you more and more resources for those monsters on the field to then use for their own ritual play by increasing the level of the previous level monster on the field also, with the rest of the spells being 2 copies of Preparation of Rites and then 2 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites, having searches for the monsters and these spells respectively in the deck depending on what we may specifically need for just additional searches also. And then the traps we run being the 1 Chef's Special Recipe and the 1 Recette de Personnel or Staff Recipe, the Continuous Trap and the Counter Trap, having a spell, trap, or monster effect negation with this card, and then being able to banish it from the graveyard to tribute as many monsters your opponent controls as possible for this play, as basically eating your opponent's monsters as well with your Hungry Burger as well. And then the Recette de Personnel, Staff Recipe to target a ritual monster you control, giving you more of a token resource set up on the field thanks to this trap also. For the extra deck, 2 copies of Patissier Coverture. With this card, if it's in the monster zone destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone, but the main play is just to use it for our spell to give our opponent a monster for us to then tribute off of our own plays. The 2 copies of Elder Entity along with the 1 Garura and also the 1 additional Herald of the Arclight. The main reason for the Garura spot is just to have a second spot for the Herald of the Arclight, so I would run 2 copies of these cards in the deck if you have a second copy. I just didn't know where my second copy of Herald of the Arclight was for the deck. Otherwise, there's nothing you need a fairy monster to send off of Diviner, so remember that. So Garura is just in here as a placeholder for Herald of the Arclight. The additional link monsters being 1 Dynamondo, the the 1 Moon the Closed Heaven, the 1 IP Masquerena, the 1 Dark the Dark Charmer, the 1 Donner Dagger, along with the 1 Relinquished Anima, with the other Link monsters being 1 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Underworld Goddess to finish off the extra deck. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, Angry Burger's Reveal can just help with a lot of setup you may need, being able to use any recipe card to summon this card. Monster your opponent control must attack this card, being a 2800 attack point monster as well, and being able to reveal this card in your hand, add a Nouvelle monster from your deck to your hand. Can once again help with the initial start off, because then you can use Angry Burger to search out your Chef de Nouvelle, and then set this card up in your Pendulum Zone after you summon back the Angry Burger. Then being able to add 1 non-Pendulum Nouvelle card from your deck to your hand, so then you can just search out the additional spells that you may need, having your search power in the form of our added menu, basically not the Nouvelle restaurant search, but you can also add our Nouvelle recipe book off of the Chef de Nouvelle, and then being able to use the special summon if your opponent summons one on the field as well, having them every time you use your own tribute with your Recette de Nouvelle on the field for the 800 life point pay, and then having that additional monster to use as well for that resource. The bigger play can also come down to the ritual boost that you can do with this card as well, because then once again, having the level increase for each Nouvelle monster means that when you have your ritual spell, you have your Nouvelle monster, and then the needed monster above that being able to increase the level with your Recette de Nouvelle to then use that specific monster to then get out the proper monster, not having to rely on your opponent's plays, but just your added level increase as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Look forward to many other decks from the Duelist Advanced booster set that I'll be updating on the channel. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.